Hello, my fellow friends and YouTubers. This is Kurt from the Kurt's Place channel here. I'm going to be bringing you another Las Vegas transportation video. Now, this time, in this Las Vegas video, we're going to be talking about transportation options that I use when I go to Las Vegas. I've been going to Las Vegas now over 20 years, and I'm going to mention some of the things that I do to get around Las Vegas that have worked out really well for me. Some of the goods and bads as well, to give you an idea of how you might want to travel when you go to Las Vegas on your trip. Okay, I wanted to mention that if you want to go ahead and click that subscribe button, feel free to do so. That way you can keep up with all my current videos. Also, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave those in the comment windows below. Maybe you have an idea on transportation that you might want to suggest. And also, if you like what you see, go ahead and click that like button as well. Okay, let's go ahead and begin. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about taxi cabs. One of the questions people have asked me about is, like, when I get to McCarran International Airport, what's one of the easiest ways to get from the airport to my hotel? Now, I always, when I go to Las Vegas, I always choose to use the taxi cab option when I'm going from the airport to the hotel. There's a couple things that make the taxi cab option kind of nice when you're going from the hotel. When you're going from the airport to your hotel. I'm just going to tell you some things that are really nice. If you, when you're at McCarran Airport, when you get off the plane and you're ready to go to get a taxi, there's actually a taxi cab line that they have at the airport. If you look at the overhead screens, the big screens that they have in the airport, like the directory, like where the baggage and everything is, just look for the sign that says taxis on it. That's going to take you to the actual taxi cab line they have at McCarran Airport. Now, you're going to find that the taxi cab line at McCarran Airport, it's nice to have taxis, but you got to be prepared to wait a while. Sometimes that taxi cab line, you have to see the line to believe it. You can imagine, like in your city where you're at, maybe you might have maybe five cabs you might have to wait for. Well, McCarran Airport, they probably have at the airport. Last time I was there, I counted at least 40 taxi cabs at the airport, waiting to pick people up and waiting just to pick people up. They actually have a taxi cab area where you load, and there's numbers. And what's going to happen is when you get in that taxi cab line, there's going to be a gentleman at the end, right before you get sent to one of the stations. I think there's 15 or 20 stations. He's going to send you to one of the stations. He's going to ask where you're going to be going, how you're going to be paying, how many people you have, and then he's going to send you to one of the designated stations that they have along the taxi line. I think last time there were about 20 of those. Now here's the thing to keep in mind when you're using taxis from the airport. That taxi cab line can get kind of long. So, and also, it is outside in the heat, so you need to be prepared to wait a little while if you're going to take a taxi from the airport. Now, one of the things I'm going to suggest you do is this too. Once you get to the taxi cab, once you get to your taxi cab station and you're ready to take your cab to your hotel, one of the things you might want to mention to the cab driver is to say, yeah, I'm a regular. I've been to Vegas quite a few times, and I always enjoy it. Love the taxi cab service here. Start off with a nice compliment. Let the cab driver know you've been to Vegas before, because one of the things that can happen is, and I have not had this happen to me, is the cab driver can take you on a longer route than is necessary to get to your hotel. He can take you through what's known as the Las Vegas Airport Tunnel. And if they do that, it's going to turn a short trip to the hotels into and quite a bit longer trip. And that's one of the things sometimes the taxi cab drivers will do, is that they'll take you on a long way to your hotel. So when you get on the cab, just say, it's really nice to be back in Vegas again, and I always enjoy, love using the cabs here, and they've always been really helpful. And then by doing that, you're going to let the cab driver know that you're familiar with how long the cab drive takes to get to your hotel. You're less likely to have a problem getting taken the long way around to your hotel. Now, here's the other thing to keep in mind, too. When you're on the taxi cabs in Vegas, one of the really cool things about cabs in Vegas is you have a number of ways you can pay. Now, keep in mind that this can vary depending on the situation that you're in, and also maybe the cab company that you're using. But when I got on the cab company, I was able to actually use my credit and debit card actually in the cab itself. They actually had a credit card reader right inside the cab itself that actually made it very convenient to get around Las Vegas by just using my debit card or credit card to charge my trip. Now, there's another advantage to that too. If you use a credit card on your trip or debit card on your trip when you're booking cabs, it allows you to keep a tab on your travel expenses when you get back from your trip. So if you're itemizing your trip or your expenses, it makes it a lot easier because you actually have a record of when you actually rode in the cabs, and also you'll have a record of how much you spent in the cabs as well. And so in some cases, from what I've heard, that makes it very easy if you're doing travel planning and things like that. When you return home, it makes it easier if you're trying to put your expenses and things on a travel log by having these. Now, the one thing to keep in mind that I do not know, somebody asked me, is there a surcharge for using your credit debit card on a taxi cab? I can tell you, when I used the taxi cabs, when I got home, I didn't see any now this was in 2016. I didn't see any surcharges or anything on my credit card statement when I got home, but that's one of the things you want to mention. Now, you can either ask the cab driver, or in some cases, it's possible that they may actually have it on the credit card machine if they charge a surcharge. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're taking a cab from Las Vegas Airport to your hotel. Now, here's another thing, too. When you're at your hotel, if you want to take a cab to another hotel or another property in Las Vegas, here's another thing to keep in mind. Depending on the time of day you're traveling, it can affect the cab fare, and things can be affected somewhat by how busy and everything in Las Vegas it is. For example, does a cab driver have to take a longer route to get somewhere because of the fact maybe the strip's jammed up with traffic? If you're traveling in Las Vegas, Las Vegas has rush hours, just like we have rush hours in our towns and things. Las Vegas also has rush hours as well. So just keep that in mind when you're getting on a cab. Also, because if you watch my videos on Las Vegas, you're going to see one of them says that you have to get cabs at the cab lines at the hotels, and that is the case that I've always found is that, and you have to get a cab at the cab lines. And keep in mind, these cab lines can get fairly long, so you want to make sure if you're planning a show or something like that, you want to make sure you get to the cab line early enough to allow room for any delays and things that you may have, such as having to wait for a cab, or if the strip or something is blocked up with traffic and the cab driver needs to take a little bit roundabout way to get you to your destination. Make sure if you're using the cabs, you allow yourself extra time when you're going from your hotel to one of your venues. Okay, that's going to be the segment I'm going to have on cabs. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the Las Vegas monorail. Now, I did not use the Las Vegas monorail last year when I was in Las Vegas, but I did use it the year before. And some of the advantages to the Las Vegas monorail are one thing nice about the monorail is it's fairly fast. It doesn't take a whole lot of time to go between the hotels on the Las Vegas monorail. And also I found that it was very comfortable on the monorail. The security and everything was really good. Now, the thing to keep in mind about the Las Vegas monorail is you can get the Las Vegas monorail at various hotels, though. You just look for the Las Vegas monorail station signs in front of the hotels and things, and they'll actually show you where the monorail's at. Now, one of the disadvantages to the monorail is very convenient in the fact that it gets you to and from the hotels fairly at a pretty good pace, but you have to walk to the Las Vegas monorail. And normally when you're in Las Vegas, the monorail station is usually at the back of the hotel. So if you're on the Las Vegas Strip and you're trying to get to the monorail, you usually have to walk a ways to get to where the monorail station is at the hotel you see the sign posted at. So just keep in mind that when you're using the Las Vegas monorail, normally you have to walk a little distance between the Las Vegas Strip and the monorail station to get the monorail. Other than that, I found the monorail was pretty economical. Everybody that I ran into on the stations and things were very nice, and also I had a special deal, too, where I got a coupon and everything on it, too, from one of the Las Vegas magazines that gave me a discount on using the Las Vegas monorail. Now, one of the things you might be wondering is, does the Las Vegas monorail go to all the casinos in Las Vegas? It does not. The Las Vegas monorail, mainly, one of the main routes it goes to the MGM, and it goes to the Bally's. It goes to Paris, it goes to Flamingo, and it goes all the way to the originally where the Las Vegas Hilton was, or the Las Vegas Hotel. The last time I was there, the actual monorail actually went all the way to that location there. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that because of the fact the monorail does not stop at every single hotel, you may have to walk a little bit to get to the hotel you're going at. For example, if you get off the monorail at MGM Grand and you want to go to New York, well, then you're going to have to go across the Strip to get to New York, because the monorail doesn't circle around to the back of the Strip. It mainly sticks to the one side of the properties, like New York, like the MGM Grand and Bally's and Paris and things. The places like Bellagio in New York. Monte Carlo, Mirage, all those places, Treasure Island. Normally, I don't know if the monorail, at least for now, does not go around to those properties that I am aware of. Somebody said they are planning on expanding the monorail out to the airport, and also going to eventually they're going to bring the monorail around and make a complete loop around Las Vegas. But as of now, I don't see that as being an option. I didn't even see them building anything for the monorail. But if you want to get a fairly convenient way to get up and down the strip, like from the MGM all the way to Las Vegas, the hotel at the Las Vegas, Paris and all, I find the Las Vegas monorails worked out pretty good. And you can also access, you can buy your tickets and things online. You can buy your tickets and things at kiosks and things they have inside the Las Vegas monorail stations. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the Las Vegas Deuce bus service. Now you can also check out my Las Vegas Deuce bus video on my channel here. I actually show you in depth how the Las Vegas Deuce bus and everything works. Also how to buy your fare cards and things like that for the Las Vegas Deuce. Now, one of the advantages to the Las Vegas Deuce that I can say that I really like is when I was in Las Vegas, the Deuce that ran on the main strip ran 24 hours a day. I found it to be very convenient. I also like the fact that they had different options and things like that, like on how many days you want to use the bus and things like that, and they had offered several different ticket options that fit my trip very well. Now, here's one of the things to keep in mind on the Deuce, too. Now, if you go to my Las Vegas Deuce video, I'm going to cover this in more detail. One of the things about the Las Vegas Deuce you have to keep in mind is the bus does get fairly crowded, so you have to make sure you allow time for that. And also keep in mind that the bus stops for the Deuce does not stop at every single hotel in Las Vegas. There are stops at different hotels. You're going to notice you're going to see Deuce bus stops in front of different hotels like Harris, places like that. If you go to the Deuce bus service website, Las Vegas Deuce bus website, they'll actually show you all the station stops and things they have to go, such as in downtown Fremont Street and things like that too. But I found the Deuce bus was a pretty nice option for getting around Vegas. Just keep in mind it doesn't stop at all the hotels. Another thing too to keep in mind is that it can get fairly crowded, so you have to pack a little bit of patience. But I think you'll find the Deuce bus is a pretty good option to use as well. Okay, so that's my tip on the Las Vegas Deuce. Now, something else that I did try that worked out pretty good also is I did try the trams that run between. There's a tram that runs between Excalibur, Mandalay Bay, and Excalibur, Mandalay Bay, and Luxor. There's an actual tram. If you're at Excalibur, if you're at the Excalibur Hotel Casino, when you leave New York, if you're going from New York to Excalibur, you're going to notice on the left-hand side there's a sign that says Monorail to Mandalay Bay and Luxor. Now, one of the things that's really nice about the shuttle, it's an actual shuttle that goes between those properties. Last time I rode it, it was free. And the thing that's nice is if you're trying to go from Excalibur to Mandalay Bay, it's still a decent walk, especially outside in the heat. And one of the things nice about using the shuttles is it makes it a lot easier getting from between those three properties. Now, remember, it's Mandalay Bay, Luxor, and Excalibur. That's one of the shuttles that I used that I found was very convenient. Now, keep in mind that the shuttles do have hours that they run at. They don't. When I was there, the shuttle did not run 24 hours a day. There were operating times and things that it ran. If you go online to just type in Las Vegas shuttle, Mandalay Bay, Luxor, Excalibur shuttle, it should have the ride times and everything, the hours of operation and everything when you're taking the shuttle, when you want to get between those three properties. Now, here's something to keep in mind about the shuttle. The shuttle did take a little longer. It took about 15 minutes between, when I was there, took about 15 minutes between shuttles to get back and forth between the properties. But that wasn't a problem for me because I had enough time, and it worked out pretty well. And you get some pretty nice views on the shuttle as well when you take it. So definitely it's one of the things I suggest you do is just make sure you allow enough time when you're leaving to get the shuttle to go back to the hotel you were going to, because sometimes it does take a little time because of the fact that it can get crowded, and also just the fact that the operating schedules and things can vary. Now, I was on a weekday. It could be if you go on a weekend that maybe the shuttles run a little bit more frequently, but when I was there on a weekday, my experience was it took about 15 to 20 minutes to get the shuttle for each time I wanted to go to one of the three casino properties I told you about. Now, somebody also told me that there are other shuttles available. I have not used them, but somebody told me that there's a shuttle that goes between the area and the Cosmopolitan. Somebody also said there's one that goes between Monte Carlo and Bellagio. And somebody said there's another one that goes between Treasure Island and the Mirage. Now, I have not tried any of these shuttles, and I honestly don't know much about them because I haven't tried them, but that's something to keep in mind too. If you're staying at one of those properties, that's another thing you might want to check out. See if they have shuttles available at those properties as well. Okay. Now, one of the other options I was going to talk about too is if you are renting a car in Las Vegas. I did get a rental car one time in Las Vegas, and I found it was pretty nice to have a car when I was there. Now, what I ended up doing with my rental car is I got a Mustang. I ended up renting a really nice Ford Mustang convertible. Now, this is back in '93 when I was there. I got a really nice Ford Mustang convertible, and I actually went to Hoover Dam with the car, and I found out it was a pretty awesome option for going to Hoover Dam, having a convertible to go out to Hoover Dam. Now, one of the questions people ask me is, if you have a car in Las Vegas, where do you rent a car in Las Vegas? When you get to McCarran Airport, there's a lot of Las Vegas car rental companies and things. You know, they have various rental companies, and when you're at the airport, just look for car rental services when you're at McCarran Airport. They'll guide you to the places where you can get car rentals while you're in Las Vegas. Now, here's something to keep in mind when you do a car rental in Las Vegas. One of the things I can tell you is, if you're traveling by car in Las Vegas, I highly recommend that you get the extra insurance and things. I did when I was in Las Vegas. The reason why I recommend getting the high insurance, the extra insurance and everything, now some places it might be mandatory. The reason I got the extra insurance is Las Vegas, there's so much traffic in Las Vegas. I was actually worried about having an accident. Now, I didn't have an accident. I had a really good time, but you're going to notice there's a lot of hustle and bustle in Las Vegas as far as traffic goes, and having that extra insurance might not be such a bad idea. Now, one of the other things I was going to mention too is if you really want to live it up. Now, I have not done this, but somebody said also not only can you rent cars, but you can also rent exotic cars in Las Vegas as well. So that's an option if you want to have a little extra fun on your trip. Okay. Now, one of the last things I wanted to talk about in Las Vegas is if you want to go out to places like Laughlin, Nevada, and places like that. Some of the tour companies actually offer, when I was out there, I actually took a free bus. I actually got a free bus from my hotel all the way out to Laughlin, Nevada, and it was completely free. And they actually gave me free casino chips and things like that when I went out there by bus. And the bus trip was actually free. The casino actually paid for it when we went out to Laughlin. So keep in mind that you might want to, if you want to do a tour, and you might want to have one for free, don't be afraid to look up the Laughlin as an option you might want to go on. If they're going to give you a free bus ride out to Laughlin, I found it was a pretty cool place to visit. They have little river taxis and things out there, and I found the view and everything along the desert I really thought the view and everything was very nice on the bus when we rode out to Laughlin, Nevada. So just keep that in mind too. If you want to do something a little fun on the side, you know, maybe not cost a whole lot of money, definitely think about doing the Laughlin, the bus that goes out to Laughlin when you're in Las Vegas. Now, something else somebody's told me too. I have heard that there are shuttle buses that go from some properties between properties. I have not tried those. Like when I was in Atlantic City, there was a bus that used to go between the Bally's, and it went to the Showboat, and it went to the Harris. And those were free, provided by the hotel, provided you have a player's card. Now, I have not tried any of these options in Las Vegas with these shuttles, but people have told me that they do exist and that they're also a nice option as well. So keep that in mind. And now the last thing I was going to add is, one of the things you're going to ask me about is, have I tried the Uber and Lyft in Las Vegas? I have not tried these, but I heard that those also are a pretty good option in Las Vegas, so it's definitely something that you want to look at when you're going to Las Vegas. Try maybe looking at taking Uber or Lyft if that's an option that you might have that might work for you. Okay? I wanted to thank you, by the way, for tuning into the Kurt's Place channel here on the YouTube, and I hope that this Las Vegas transportation tips video will help you out when you're planning your trip going to Las Vegas. And remember, as always, when you're in Las Vegas, have a lot of fun, and good luck to you. And we'll catch you next time on the channel here on the Kurt's Place channel on the YouTube. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great time. Bye-bye now. Take care, everybody.